Ambassador Carla Sands joins us. She's got a tremendous piece in the Washington Times today about this issue. Ambassador, just take us through it. I mean, the Washington Times has got one of the most prominent op-ed pages around. They really do a great job over there. They've
They
published you this morning. Walk us through your entire argument that American companies should hire wait for it, American citizens.
Sure, Steve. Thank you. And certainly the members of Congress and their staffs read the Washington Times. And a lot of our War Room posse, I think, read it as well because they want to stay up on what's happening on Capitol Hill and in the Washington, D.C. area. And one of the big issues for Americans in this 250th anniversary is the idea that companies should hire Americans and not foreign labor. And Steve, this goes back decades, right? This was the big manufacturing shift in my youth and then in my young adulthood, how I saw cities and towns across our Rust Belt states, especially, just hollow out because manufacturing moved mostly to Asia, and the company towns would just kind of collapse. And the same thing is now starting to happen where we're losing more of our middle class because more foreigners are being hired within the United States, but also companies are hiring them outside of the United States. The number one recipients of visas in the United States are Indians by far. It's about 80% of the H-1B visa recipients and other visa holders. And we have a lot of visa holders in, United States visa holders. The Indians by far outstrip all others, and Indians as a group make about twice the income per capita as American citizens. So American-born person versus Indian immigrant, the Indian immigrant households making about twice as much. And I think it's because we come, American-born people, from a high-trust society, and it's part of our Judeo-Christian background. We're largely, we don't have fraud in America typically. People are, we follow the 10 Commandments typically, and we do unto others as we'd have them do unto us. And what happens is when you get foreign cultures coming in that are based on corruption, they bring the corruption with them. And so these visa holders often have to pay the person that gets them the job 5 or 10% of their salary into perpetuity, or they cheat and they have fake diplomas. They pay for them. In India, a ring was just busted that had sold 100,000 fake degrees, mostly in STEM, and a lot of them were medical degrees. So you could go to a doctor from India who hasn't even studied medicine, is a fake doctor. So what you want to do, I think, is all of us ask our representatives, but also companies in your hometown, please hire Americans. This is a patriotic duty to hire the American people and let ourselves, but also our kids and grandkids, have a chance at the American dream. And in the op-ed, Steve, we don't demonize Indians. There are good, honest Indians that have come into the United States as legal immigrants, haven't gamed the system, haven't cheated. We welcome immigrants, but a lot of people would like to pause immigration while we let the American-born people get off the sidelines and get good paying jobs. That's the goal, especially in this 250th anniversary. Why not be patriotic?
You talk about high trust society, but the H-1B visas were supposed to be with people that for each billet, you had to justify either educational and or job experience that they could not find a worker in the United States, particularly when it came to STEM. We know that that is just a bald-faced lie. In my fight on this for years, I've asked, please come and show me any billet of the millions that have come here that either has an educational requirement or a professional requirement that can't be met by a U.S. worker. One time somebody came and said, well, look, we think it was something that a guy in France could do something. But then when I asked more details, it kind of faded away. Not one of the millions. This is all done very simply to drive down labor costs. It's just cheaper to hire foreign workers. So this has to be more than we got to ask the companies, please don't do it because you got to be patriotic. They're not interested in being patriotic. They're interested in getting higher operating margins so that their stocks are worth more money, so that the options package for management kicks in at a higher rate, and they walk off after the 3 or 5 year term in senior management and make more money. Or they do stock buybacks with tax cuts that would give them. I mean, that is the Wall Street scam. It's obvious how this happens. What would you recommend? That because right now both sides are dug in. I mean, the scandals here, as you said, the scandals coming out of India, where these people are indentured servants. I said, I thought we ended the indentured servant situation here and slavery in the United States in the 19th century. We have the Indians coming here; they're being abused. You look in Silicon Valley, many to the house. They got to pay a guy 10% in perpetuity of all their salary. What do you think we have to do? Because clearly the tech business overlords that are doing this know exactly what they're doing, and they're not going to back off. What would you recommend that is the next step in trying to make sure that because I say, look, it should be a hiatus of at least a decade on all immigration, legal immigration, quote unquote, and the HB1 program should be terminated immediately. What would be your thoughts on what we should do?
Right. Well, Steve, there's a guy, Tyler Oliveira, who exposed, kind of like Nick Shirley, that there's these big industrial parks that have nobody in them. They're all empty, but they're supposed to be the place that these H-1B visa workers work. And it's to allow the big tech companies to say, oh, we're not hiring more H-1B visa holders, but they're sort of outsourcing them. So there's all kinds of things they're doing. There's even charts in our op-ed that I wrote with Samantha Flanagan about this. And what we say is, okay, they're laying off this many thousands of American workers, but they're hiring this many hundreds or thousand of visa holders. And the visa holders aren't just H-1B. They can kind of slide between different kinds of visas so that they can stay. And if they stay about 2.5 cycles of a visa, they can apply for a green card. And then soon after that, they can apply for citizenship and they can bring their whole family. And what's happening is the Indians specifically, and I'm not talking about all Indians, but this group specifically are helping each other in chat rooms with the answers to questions, helping with the person, if they're an Indian HR manager, they're bringing in all Indians or all Indians from their own caste system or from their own region, like everybody's from Punjab, everybody's from one area. And their friends and family that they're hiring. And that's illegal in America. In America, you're supposed to hire the most qualified person, and you're not allowed to use things like nepotism or, backroom deals. That's not allowed. So another issue, Steve, is in real estate where they're gaming the system. We have brokers on each side of the deal, and they're saying, no, I want a kickback of X. And this has been happening for years in the United States. So we need these people to be prosecuted, Steve. And we talk about it in the article that we think they should get the maximum of 10 years in prison if they game the system and take jobs away from American citizens. I was the ambassador to Denmark, and in Denmark, they have Danes in those jobs. They prioritize the people of their country. It's very rare that they bring in an outside even CEO. They do it now and then for talent, but that's when they're extraordinary talents. But almost all the people you see them hiring are Danish because they want to build up their country. And I think that's important in the United States. And I think there should be pressure on these companies. If they're American companies, you hire American. And I think President Trump can be a really big voice in this, telling these CEOs, we want you to hire American. He is making America great again. He's bringing in all these foreign trillions of dollars and building up America, reindustrializing. We want those new jobs to go to Americans. We don't want, and we need to train them. That's another issue that the government is working on as fast as they can. Secretary Linda McMahon doing so much tech and manufacturing upscaling because people need to be able to, they don't make widgets on a factory floor anymore. They're working a keyboard on a computer because manufacturing today looks so different. But we need to upscale our workers and we need to hire American as we rebuild in every industry. I mean, whether it's shipbuilding, chip making, like all these things, we need great American workers. Our work ethic, nobody can outdo us. Look at our economy. We're the engine of the world, Steve.
we're going to push this out. What's your social media? Where do people go right now, ma'am?
I'm on X Twitter at Carla H. Sands, Steve, and this is a big issue, especially for the midterms. We want to win the midterms. The American people need to be well served, not ill served by our big, great companies.